RMJ movie reviews back again. This is an on-the-fly movie review of the reboot of Stephen King's It. Oh, man. All right, let me go ahead. This is going to be a long discussion because I can't talk about Stephen King and It and its reputation without mentioning the miniseries before I talk about this new big screen theatrical version with all of us 30-somethings and 40-somethings been waiting for decades. Okay, I saw the miniseries originally when it aired on ABC back in 1990. I was about, I think I was 8 or 9. It scared me to death. Tim Curry was terrifying. I actually liked the movie. I liked the first half with the kids. The second half with the adults I liked, but it overall sucked, especially the spider. I bought it from Walmart. Look, I listened to the commentary. Everybody hated the spider thing, including the actors, including the director. Tommy Lee Wallace was not happy with the special effect of the spider. So everybody across the board, viewers who saw it at the time, actors, director, agreed. The second half sucked, and the spider part really sucked. Tim Curry was great. Okay. That being said, I was all up for a reboot. I've been wanting to see one. I was not against Tim Curry being recast. Because, let's face it, Tim Curry is a man pushing 70s now. He's recently had some health issues. Ain't no way they was going to get a 70-year-old guy with health issues and all them prosthetics and makeup shooting 15-hour days for 3 months or whatever. Wasn't going to happen, so we might as well forget that. Rewatching the miniseries again, obviously it's not as scary as it was at the time when I was a kid, but Tim Curry himself, when he's being serious and dark, is still scary. Well, maybe not scary anymore, but he's creepy. I still think there's a couple moments in the miniseries that are still genuinely scary. All of them involve Tim Curry. Okay. That being said, upon rewatching it, does it hold up? Yes and no. Tim Curry's performance holds up. Some of the child actors, including the late Jonathan Brandis and some of the other kids, they hold up. Parts of the adults' performances hold up, but obviously this is a TV movie. It was very low budget. Even Tommy Lee Wallace said it in the commentary. So all of it, the special effects don't hold up. It was made for TV movie, which there was a lot of them back then. So you can't compare this to this new film. But I still got nostalgia for it. I still really like the film. That being said, it's out the way. I'm not going to compare the two. This new It is fantastic. I highly enjoyed it. Was it great? No. Was it very, very good? Yes. It's a solid B+, bordering on an A-. Very good film. I'm going to get out the way what I really loved about the movie. What I really loved about the movie is, first of all, it was a fantastic idea to change, because which the miniseries, and I believe in the book, I never read the book, but I believe, at least going for the miniseries, it took place with the kids in the 50s, and then it went into I believe it's supposed to be in the early 90s. So they switched the decades in which the kids' time period is the 80s. So the second part of the movie, if we get one, will be in now. So meaning the kids will be my age, mid-30s, pushing 40s, which is perfect because John Ritter and all of them and Harry from Night Court were, I believe, well, they might have been maybe 40s, but they were like roughly around late 30s, early 40s in that miniseries. So I love that. What I love essentially is what they did was they made, it's kind of what I believe J.J. Abrams did the movie Super 8. That was what J.J. Abrams tried to redo that Spielbergian Goonies, Stand By Me, Monster Squad kind of feel. He nailed it partially, but it wasn't quite there 100%, but partially, But essentially, that's what this movie is. This is the Goonies, Stand By Me, Monster Squad, dropped into Pet Sematary. That's what this is. That's exactly what this is. And I like that. And the fact, it really, I will say flat out, I think this movie is made for people my age because So we went to go see it, and I noticed the audience was mixed. There was like a group that was like probably my age, but more folks in the theater were probably like 20s, late teens. These kids don't know any of the 80s references in that movie. And that's what I like. There was a lot of 80s references, particularly to the year of 1989. They go outside a movie theater, Batman 89, Lethal Weapon 2, Nightmare on Elm Street 5. There's references to New Kids on the Block, Molly Ringwald, other 80s Street Fighter, the game. There's a lot of little 80s touches, and even the outfits, I noticed in particular with the girls, the tennis shoes of the boys with the Velcro, the cars. You had to have been alive at that time to catch these references. These kids in the theater don't catch it. But all of us who were in our 30s were like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. So I think this movie is really made for us. And it really brings in that nostalgia for our age group. It was a really tricky but good balance they did of like throwing in those little anecdotes, but also making it like a Goonies or a Stand By Me now, and they just put it into the story of it. That was brilliant, and they snuck that in there real good. So instead of being stupid and just remaking the Goonies or remaking Stand By Me, you take that element and put it into this story. Brilliant, brilliant. What I also like is that there's genuine character with the kids. There's heart. There's warmth. It's not all just horror and terror, but I genuinely like the kids. Again, like Stand By Me and the Goonies. They talk like kids talk. Kids talk foul mouth. Everything was genuine child emotion. Some of the humor might have been a little bit forced, but it was fun, and I liked the kid. And that's what I really like, is that there's warmth there, and there's heart, and there's genuine terror. That's the other good part, is that when Pennywise strikes, it's vicious. It's vicious. It doesn't go into hostile Hills Have Eyes, Alexander Asia type territory. It doesn't hit that hard, which I wouldn't want it to, but it's pretty hard hitting. Georgie's scene is pretty. If you got kids and you're like somebody my age, it might not be the funnest for you, but it's pretty tough. So I like that. But I just like the care that was put into the characters, balancing everybody, and the scares too. Now on the Pennywise. Pennywise, Bill Skarsgård, he's fantastic. He was fantastic. I'm not going to compare him to Tim Curry because, kind of like we had with Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger. I saw this comparison in some other reviews. Totally different decades, totally different type of style to the filmmaking. Two different eras. You can't compare the two. It's just one did his thing and the other did his thing. Tim Curry was purely bravado stage acting in that performance. Bill Skarsgård here is a little bit more assisted with some CGI. Still genuine performance, but Tim Curry is I'm going to kill you, you're going to float, I'll come to kill you, I killed your little brother. And he's doing all this, kind of stagey acting, which is great. This is a $30 million movie, not a $2 million TV miniseries. So you got a lot more to complement the performance here. So this is much more kind of just he's much more of a creature than Tim Curry was, but Tim Curry wasn't as much of a creature because they didn't have the money to make him a creature back then. It was a TV movie. So you can't compare the two. This one is more straight, vicious, and much more sadistic because of the R rating. Tim Curry is more kind of more implying of ferociousness, and more ferocious than just his acting with teeth and stuff. This here has a lot more blood to it. So I really like their performances for different reasons. I will reference some other reviewers who I saw. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Pennywise actually I hate to say talking, but kind of like that intro scene with Georgie is fantastic. I wish there would have been more scenes of him kind of doing the whole like luring and kind of to catch a predator, like predator-esque, I'm gonna like lure you in kind of thing. Because that part of the movie is really good, and he's really creepy with the pop, 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 and he does this laugh, and it's really unsettling, and it's really off-putting and weird. And then like when he slows down and he goes, and Georgie just kind of gets this look on his face like, uh-oh, this don't feel right. Georgie tries to get out of there, but we all know how that turned out. And also, too, with people trying to knock the miniseries now, the only reason people are knocking the miniseries now is because that's just in fashion to knock stuff from back in the day now. That's just my firm belief. It's just in fashion to just, when something new comes out, it's just in fashion to knock what came before. You can't compare the two. You can't. That's like if you compare a VHS VCR to 4 definition K or whatever it is, or a Blu-ray. You can't compare the two. There's 2 different forms of technology. You can't do it. So I don't even think it's fair. And on top of that, the director does pay a lot of homage to the miniseries. There's quite a few references to the miniseries. There's almost scenes that are exactly, well, of course, the Georgie scene is an exact replica of the miniseries to a T, minus the graphic nature of the scene. But there's like whole scenes, you know. The Deadlights thing, big reference to the, and you know, stuff with Beverly and her dad. There's a line in there that's taken from it, you know. So there's a lot of references to the miniseries. So while people are knocking it, and one thing I will say, the reason this movie is even made is because of Tim Curry. Tim Curry is the reason that this movie was made. Let's just face it. So people can sit up here and say, oh, the miniseries sucked. Oh, it's low budget. It's not scary. But regardless, and people can say, oh, Tim Curry was a clown. He was a clown. The reason this movie was made was because of Tim Curry and his performance. So Tim Curry is the reason that we got this movie. Don't nobody want to say that. It's the truth. But everybody, it's in style to knock them. Regardless, they're both 2 entities, 2 separate things. I enjoy them both, you know. And I will say, when this comes out on Blu-ray in the next couple months, probably by New Year's or whatever, it'll be in my collection. I really, really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, it fell a little bit flat to me with kind of Pennywise just kind of more just popping out going rah rah rah, because there's some creepy, there was 2 as far as the movie being scary. Look, I've been watching these movies for going on 40 years, almost 40 years, 30 plus years of my life. They don't scare me, but I will say that each time Pennywise was on the screen, my heart rate went up. I felt very tense. The first introduction that Mike sees Pennywise, and he's like hanging in the meat locker. Really good scene. I wish we could have got a little bit more of that. There was another scene. I'm not gonna give it away. The where you flip the slides. But that scene caught me off guard. It got me. There was another one where Pennywise was chasing the fat kid around the basement. That got me. Of course, the one when he you'll float too, and he comes out the water and runs at him. The running at him didn't get me, but there's another part to that scene where Pennywise bites the staircase. That one got me. So there was a couple ones that got me. And what I love though with Pennywise is how he just drooled. There was like this drool that just came from his mouth. He was drooling like the alien. Or like that monster from the Tobe Hooper movie, The Funhouse. Like, it was just on his lip. It was just like, oh God, it was so gross. But that's good. The performances were outstanding. I thought the kids were good. The grown-ups, hey, Stephen Williams, 21 Jump Street, Creighton Duke from Jason Goes to Hell pops up in here. I thought he was going to have a little bit more. Hopefully in the sequel he'll have a little bit more to do. But it was nice to see him. I really thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Now, I would take a couple points away for the finale. I thought the finale would have been kind of a little bit stronger, but all in all, it felt a little bit anticlimactic. But this is meant to go into another part of the story, so I forgive it for that. What I did like was that Pennywise kind of had like a haunted house thing. That was cool. I was a little bit disappointed in the leper, because I had actually, when we talked about it when I was at summer camp, like in 1991, when we all were talking about how scared, a buddy of mine had read the book at that time, and he kept telling me about this leper man, and I was like, what the heck is the leper man? And then I kind of found out who he was, and I was a little bit disappointed because I thought he was gonna come off a little bit more creepier. He looked a little bit too CGI-ish for me. But still, he was a good addition to the array of creatures. The one creature that didn't do it for me, I think, was the painting thing. I kind of felt that one was kind of lame. The stuff with Beverly and her dad, very, very, very creepy, very, very uncomfortable. But I'm glad they went there. I'm glad they went there, because that stuff is tracked in the miniseries. Kind of that underlying child abuse. As Tommy Lee Wallace says in the commentary, pedophilia, kind of, and then, you see with the adults with the traumas and the nightmares and all that, very, very consistent with, adults who walk around with who've been abused and all that. So I like that through line in the story. That was very good. And I like that they went there with the graphic violence towards the children, and the underlying sexual abuse. That was very good. And it's all, it's in there in the other version of the story. And I'm trying to think of one more thing I was gonna say. This is just all in all a haunted house movie, and it's a damn good one. Henry Bauer in this version, very sadistic, very evil. Basically, he's a psychopath, basically. And he was a psychopath in the miniseries too. So I think they both kind of complement each other very well. And Henry Bowers, his turn in this movie, because in the miniseries he kind of gradually just kind of gets more sadistic as the movie goes on, when it becomes evident like this dude is not right in the head. But in this version, it's a little bit more upfront, and Pennywise kind of more directly helps with his turn in this version. Versus in the miniseries, he kind of just becomes evil on his own, not by the help of Pennywise. In this one, Pennywise helps him. And there's a pretty good thing with Henry Bowers and his father that I thought was like, I was like, yeah, that worked. So I really enjoyed it. Again, it's not perfect, but I think the mixture of the kids' performances, the heart, the warmth, the coming of age, mixed with the genuine terror that the kids are going to go through. And then you throw all that with the 80s nostalgia into it. It was a fun flick. I highly enjoyed it. I'm not going to say it's better than the miniseries, because it's $30 million versus $2 million miniseries TV movie. I mean, come on, guys. So you can't compare the two. They're two different things. I like both versions. One for nostalgia and, good for its time, regardless of the cheese. And this is just a great new addition. I enjoyed the film. I really like it. So, for you guys who really like the story of it and enjoy Stephen King or horror, I think you'll have a good time. So go check it out. Thumbs up the video. Subscribe to the channel. Share the video. Leave comments down below about the It reboot. And don't forget to hit the little ring-a-ling-a-ding-ding-ding, the little bell. RMJ Movie Reviews. I'll see you guys soon.